It's Halloween time again. I apologize for not having much this time, but I have much to prepare for in the coming months. So, let's have some fun and look at a movie I haven't actually seen before, but has a huge cult following, and I do mean huge. The Monster Squad. In 1985, Fred Dekker of Night of the Creeps fame developed the idea of rebooting The Little Rascals, but if it had the Universal monsters. I mean, it worked for Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, why not with a bunch of children? He got his friend Shane Black, who you may remember as Hawkins from Predator, to help write and pitch this thing, and eventually they set to work on creating a funny yet dark movie about kids fighting monsters. The project was greenlit by Taft Entertainment Pictures, and while they did try to get a distribution deal with Universal Pictures, they were ultimately turned down and instead made a deal with the then recently established TriStar Pictures. Though Universal would later provide international distribution for the film, they were able to start shooting in 1986 and release it on August 14, 1987, on a budget of $14 million. Of course, it was considered a flop as it made back $3.8 million, and was pulled from theaters only 2 weeks into its theatrical run. Still, despite this and the mediocre reviews from critics at the time, it has since earned its massive cult following. And we're going to see how that happened. So break out your silver bullets and wooden stakes. This is the Monster Squad. We open with a text crawl telling us about how 100 years ago, there was a time of darkness in Transylvania, a time when Dr. Abraham Van Helsing, yes, the same one from Bram Stoker's Dracula. No, not that one. Anyway, he and a small band of freedom fighters conspired to rid the world of vampires and monsters, and save the world from mankind, and save the world from the forces of evil. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. We get some establishing shots of what looks to be Transylvania. Well, either way, the dark and creepy atmosphere is very well done in setting the tone. Wait, is that an armadillo? Holy crap, it's John from The Vampire Dies in No Time! Oh wait, this is probably meant to be a homage to the 1931 Dracula that showed a bunch of armadillos running around in Dracula's crypt for some reason. But what's really interesting is the ceiling of bats, and one that looks much bigger compared to the others. Not as cool as whenever the Wolfman transformed, but I dig it. Either way, this is our Count Dracula for the movie. He's played by Duncan Regehr, who also played Zorro in the 1990 Family Channel series, and even appeared in Air Bud World Pup? Do I dare? No, I don't. Well, here come the Monster Squad of old. Jack Gwillem plays Van Helsing, and he's too late to save this possum from being devoured by a vampire lady? While everyone else has guns, he has a crossbow that shoots wooden stakes. Talk about heartbreak! It seems he's interested in this amulet, and he needs this girl to chant something in front of it for reasons we'll get to later. But all manner of evil and death tries to intervene. Well, she'd read faster if you didn't yell so much. It seems to spawn a wormhole that draws her and whoever hasn't left yet into it. I guess that's where they blew it. And so we jump to the present at some school. The movie doesn't say where this is located, but given how they originally wanted to set this in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I'd wager that's where it is here. Either way, here are a couple of our main characters. First is Sean Crenshaw, played by Andre Gower, who's the leader of a monster club. And with him is his lieutenant, Patrick Rhodes, played by Roddy Keeker. They're in trouble with the principal, Mr. Metzgar, because they keep drawing in class. Metzgar at first seems to act like he understands why they would do this, but snaps them back to reality by simply saying,
"Science is real. Monsters are not.
I'd feel bad for these kids since they seem to be talked down about certain subjects. However...
God, can you believe Mr. Metzger?
Tell me about it. He was touching me, patting my shoulders and stuff.
The guy was fully homoing out.
I smell like the 40s.
I mean, when they send you to school, won't they tell you about the homos and the people with cat heads?
Yeah, not helping your case, kid. Unfortunately, there are some dated elements in this, particularly with the stereotypical viewpoints. Why, do you want to know what they even call their friend Horace?
Hey, where's Fat Kid?
Seriously? I can understand the bully saying it, but why are you, his friends, and clubmates perpetuating name-calling? Well, either way, Horace, played by Brett Calum, gets rescued by this rad-looking kid named Rudy, played by Ryan Lambert.
See, you met my friend Horace. You okay?
Rudy,
Why, even Rudy is willing to call him by name. That just makes me want to root for Rudy since he seems like a real friend. After school, we see that Sean has a little sister named Phoebe, played by Ashley Bank, as they pass by this one house owned by...
Gary Truman guy.
Rude much? Anyway, Horace wants to invite Rudy into the Monster Club since he saved his life. They agree to at least give him the monster test, whatever that is. But meanwhile, some guys in a plane are apparently transporting dead bodies. One of the pilots hears something and searches the cargo, only to find a rat and a bat on a string.
Come on, you son of a bitch.
Okay, that was good timing. Of course, Dracula doesn't kill him or anything. He ogles one of the crates, and the pilot does the smart thing of trying to drop him out of the plane. Well, it did drop the crate, so it makes sense for him to leave. Given his cape fell too, we know he landed near where our heroes are situated, which is a treehouse. I think we know why Rudy actually thought to come here. Of course, he does seem to know a little bit more about monsters than even the current members. They ask for 2 ways to kill a werewolf, and while he only gets the silver bullet one, he asks...
What's the other way?
What?
Second way to kill a werewolf.
Car crash? Accident with power tools? Old age? Falling out of a window?
This does at least play into the fact that we're dealing with mostly young kids with a fascination with a certain genre of film, but are still dumb and inexperienced. Oh, and let's not forget the discrimination towards girls.
Mom says you have to let me in the club or else it's prescription.
That's discrimination, jerkoid.
Sean goes in to get ready for dinner, and Mom apparently brought him a book she got recently, and apparently it's Van Helsing's diary.
Now he's the one that fights Godzilla, right?
No, although that would be a pretty cool thing to see. Unfortunately, the book is in German. Then we immediately cut over to Dracula, coming out of his 1961 Cadillac funeral coach and gazing upon the city. Okay, there'll be time to go over the effects, but not just yet. Now it's time to meet Sean's father, Detective Dell, played by Stephen Macht. Sean has an important question to ask.
Maybe you can go see Groundhog Day Part 12 tonight.
It's not a real movie, although funnily enough, the movie Groundhog Day would come out a few years later. I wonder if they made more, they'd slowly turn into a horror franchise. Dad can't take him because he's going out with his mother, and I guess Sean can't wait until tomorrow because his friends will spoil the plot. Instead, he has to babysit Phoebe. Dell gets a call from the station about something going on, as one guy is claiming to be a werewolf. This guy, or Desperate Man, as he's credited for, played by Jonathan Grace, aka Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, wants to be locked up. He almost gets his wish, but he sees the full moon. It would be really funny if that guy shot him with silver bullets he just happened to have for no reason. Dell heads to a museum where the mummy they had on display disappeared. His partner Rich, played by Stan Shaw, is not having it with the security guard there.
And you're saying you didn't hear anybody come in here or leave, is that right? Can you hear me now? Hello?
2,000-year-old dead guys do not get up and walk away by themselves.
First Dracula, then a guy crying werewolf, and now a mummy? Just what is going on in this town? Speaking of the Wolfman, though, he's being transported after getting shot, and we get a cleverly done transformation effect. Good cut. By the way, the Wolfman, once transformed, is played by Carl Tybalt, while Jonathan Gryce would go on to play another werewolf character 2 years later in Fright Night Part 2. Anyway, it looks like Sean and Del got to watch that movie after all, since they live just near a drive-thru theater. But that one guy is probably dead, or injured. We see the Wolfman walk through a swamp before encountering Dracula, wielding a silver-headed cane probably to keep him in line. The Mummy is here too, possibly for the same reasons they're both here. They need to get that one crate Dracula had his eyes on in the plane from out of the water. And it just so happens to be labeled Frankenstein. So we have Dracula, the Mummy, the Wolfman, and now Frankenstein, or rather the Frankenstein monster. Who else are we gonna get in this movie? Of course, the creature from the Black Lagoon, aka Gillman. Now, first and foremost is who did the monster makeup. They were headed by the legendary Stan Winston and his studio, with a team headed by Tom Woodruff Jr., who also plays the Gillman in his first credited acting role, and would later go on to co-found the special effects company Amalgamated Dynamics. They had to give the creatures of this movie subtle changes so they don't quite resemble the famous Jack Pierce and Millicent Patrick designs from Universal for legal reasons. Which explains why the Gillman looks more piranha-like with a big toothy mouth, wide and glossy eyes, and a little stubby tail. As I stated in my Congo review, while he may not have been good at ape makeups, Stan Winston and his studio excelled at creating monster makeups like these, as it shows their love and appreciation for the classic movie monsters of old, but for a new generation. As for the Frankenstein monster, he would be played by Tom Noonan, who would later appear as Kane in RoboCop 2 and the Ripper in Last Action Hero. Dracula attempts to bring him back to life by attaching the earpieces of his cane onto his bolts. And much like trying to jumpstart a car, he's gonna jumpstart Frankie with electricity.
Wake up, old friend. It is our time.
So, is this like the second time now I've seen Dracula use the Frankenstein monster for his evil schemes? Meanwhile, Mom lights a candle for Phoebe to keep the monsters away. Things get awkward when Phoebe brings up Sean, but Mom ends up bringing up her father, and well...
Come on, look at my eyes! Look at my eyes! I'll think about stuff and you can tell me when I'm thinking correctly.
Someone's getting a divorce, I bet. Sean copies down what's on the marker board regarding the diary and someone named Alucard. It becomes clear what he's trying to do, but given he was such a nerd over monster stuff, I'm surprised he didn't piece it together sooner. Alucard is Dracula spelled backwards. This is his kingdom. Wrong movie. But yeah, Alucard was the alias used for the title character in Son of Dracula from 1943, and would also be used for both the Castlevania and Hellsing series. Over to another club member, Eugene, played by Michael Faustino, who was at the clubhouse earlier, who tells his dad of a monster in his closet. His dad acts nonchalantly over it, but uh-oh, it's the Mummy! Oh, never mind.
Listen. You are not going to sleep with your mother and me tonight, so you can forget it.
Insert dirty joke here. Also, the kid has a My Pet Monster doll. Neat. The Mummy just leaves. I don't even know why he was here to begin with, but that's enough for all the kids to gather around and form the Monster Squad.
What's a squad? It's like Miami Vice, I think.
Sean tries to use some logic behind what's going on, bringing up the earlier instances and sightings as proof. But I guess no one else can really pay attention because Horace farted.
God damn it, would you shut up? Did you hear a word I said? The guys are dead. Get a clue? Something's out there and it's killing people.
As far as we know, only one person died, and that was that one driver guy. But still, he does get his point across that this whole situation isn't a game and must be treated seriously. When Sean mentions the diary being in German, Patrick says that his sister knows German, and guess what? It's the girl that Rudy had his sights on earlier. Either way, that's enough reason to officially form the squad.
How
does that dog get up here anyway?
Elsewhere, Dracula instructs Frankie to go find the diary, as it's currently in the hands of the kids. Speaking of, instead of the sister, the boys think of asking the scary German guy. There's a funny bit with this.
Okay, so what's German for please don't murder us?
Bitte, morden Sie uns nicht.
No, he has no real name, he's just credited as Scary German Guy, but he is played by the late Leonardo Camino, whose previous acting credits include David Lynch's Dune from 1984, as well as the 1983 TV miniseries V. He seems to live up to his name, but...
It's your last chance for pie.
Thanks,
Now
Mr.
here we go.
No thanks.
Turns out he does know what the diary says. It mentions how good and evil are in constant flux, but once every 100 years, these forces are balanced. The amulet is considered to be a concentrated force of good, and is normally indestructible except for a single day every 100 years. Should it be destroyed, the balance will also be destroyed and evil will rule. Therefore, a ceremony must be held to open a wormhole to limbo and will suck up the forces of evil. So, we saw that work at the start of the movie. Does that mean his party were the bad guys? And guess what? Tomorrow night is the night. The kids take off, now wiser and better understanding of their formerly scary neighbor.
You sure know a lot about monsters.
Now that you mention it, I suppose I do.
Well then, that certainly makes you think. For those who may be unaware, that is an Auschwitz inmate tattoo on his arm. Auschwitz being the name of what was the largest Nazi concentration camp in Germany during World War II, meaning he's a survivor of the Holocaust. If anything, this shows that even human beings can be real monsters too. Now, in a scene that kind of resembles the one Maria scene in the 1931 Frankenstein movie, we see Frankie approach Phoebe by a lake. This would later be followed by the boys discussing what to do, and then they find Phoebe as she tries to show them what she found. Aw, he's actually friends with her. Still a better fate than in that other movie.
Come on, don't be chicken shit.
Where did you learn that word? Anyway, they bring him into the clubhouse and, you know, the further we get into this movie, the more this resembles the Goonies. I mean, we have a group of kids, mostly boys, with varying quirks that were common for the time. They love to curse a lot, and even the actress playing Sean's mother, Mary Ellen Trainor, played the main character of that movie's mother, too. Oh, and of course, they befriend a monstrous-looking character who is misunderstood at first.
Put him on TV. Bad kid.
No! It doesn't work when we know who it is! Also, I'm glad he doesn't know Jack, cause that's creepy, Frankie. Decker said that he never saw the Goonies at the time, so great minds think alike?
Gary?
Well, I mean, he was always misunderstood. Most of the time. I'm glad this version of him isn't immediately on Team Evil Monsters just because he's a monster. Speaking of, we cut to... Dracula and the Wolfman are searching the basement where they discover that the amulet is stored within a hidden room behind a wall. However, he can't get to it because of all the crucifixes hung up inside to prevent him from trying. This is where Dracula gets incredibly hammy.
Soon the creatures of the night shall rule the world. And there is no one to stop us!
Well, except for a bunch of kids, who during this montage set to the song Rock Until You Drop by Michael Sembello, are forced to attend school. But as shown with Rudy making wooden stakes, they are preparing for their confrontation with the monsters. Eugene is also writing a message to get the army to come and I hope your family wasn't Confederate, cause that makes this awkward. Aw, how cute! They're making business cards for themselves. Oh, but let's not forget the silver bullets made from Sean's mom's silverware, stealing a bow and arrow set from the archery range, and developing the picture Frankie took of Patrick's sister undressing. Yep, totally normal boy behavior. Wait, why does Phoebe want to see it? Let's follow all that up with something dark. Dracula has Desperate Man tied up and sedated with pills so he can force him into becoming the Wolfman later. If that isn't bad enough that we have someone who's being forced to do something against his will, Dracula also has some women in his closet. Guess what he's going to do? Oh, but Desperate Man actually spits out the drugs Dracula was trying to use on him. So true to his name, he tries to call Detective Dell and warn them about what's about to happen. But he doesn't believe him.
He's gonna kill your son!
Well, that was a better looking transformation. But yeah, this confirms he really is like Larry Talbot. Fun fact, the roars and snarls the Wolfman makes are all stock sound effects from movies like Disney's The Jungle Book, The Rescuers, and The Fox and the Hound, which were provided by the late Clarence Nash, the original voice for Donald Duck. Anyway, the kids are making preparations, including getting Patrick's sister Lisa, played by Lisa Fuller, and Eugene drops a Twinkie in the lake. And guess who really wants it?
Creature stole my Twinkie.
And they don't follow up on that. We just cut to Lisa brought to the clubhouse where they attempt to ask her the obvious.
Have you ever... What? Okay. What we want to know is, are you a virgin?
You kids like to curse and name call each other constantly, yet you don't know how to say virgin. And you know, it's funny how this and Hocus Pocus both rely on needing virgins to carry out certain stories. What's up with that? It makes more sense here because of the whole purity and goodness belief that would be associated with warding evil, not ushering it in. Meanwhile, Sean's group arrives at the mansion, which is located at 666 Shadowbrook Road. These things seriously write themselves. And enter inside to hopefully stop Dracula. Horace isn't so sure of himself.
We got two consolations. Number one, Frankenstein's on our side. And number two, my dad's a cop. Anybody who fools around with us, he kicks their ass.
You overestimate the usefulness of cops in anything, really. But Dracula has dynamite set up to try and blow open the wall to the amulet, but is distracted when he hears the floor creaking upstairs from Frankenstein's feet. The handle goes down by itself and the dynamite goes off, the house shakes, and Frankie is pinned under a doorframe. Sean takes this pretty well.
What if he's dead? Then he died to help us.
That's cold. But then the Wolfman reappears, and Sean tells Horace to kick him in the nards. He of course hesitates at first, but then we get the most infamous line in the whole movie.
Wolfman's got nards.
Just the delivery of that line, after making the kick, just really makes this a great moment. The kids run, only to be cornered by the three women that were turned into vampire consorts. Dracula and the Wolfman. They end up pulling the arm of the statue and they drop down a trap door. Now they're definitely late to rendezvous with their friends at Phil's.
Maybe the monsters got them.
Why did you like her again? Oh right, you think she's hot. Sean and the crew find the amulet, but Dracula captures them once Sean brings it out. Luckily, Horace has some leftover garlic pizza. Once they escape, Phoebe arrives with scary German guy while Rudy and the others bring Lisa to them. They decide to go to a church because...
Monsters hate religious stuff.
Oh, and Dell decided to take the Desperate Man's call seriously. Hence why only he's going while his partner laughs his ass off.
Look, I'm sorry. I guess it's feasible, Dale. Listen to me. Come on, man. I apologize, all right?
I hope you die. Well, he does join him anyway, and they have a literal run-in with Dracula and his ghost car.
I'm not saying anything. Not a single word.
In the meantime, our heroes get attacked by the mummy, who just stumbles his way to the road before jumping onto their vehicle. And Rudy has the smart idea to take a piece of the mummy's wrapping, tie it to an arrow, and shoot it at a tree. So this can happen.
See you later, Band-Aid breath.
You know, all things considered, Rudy is the best character in this movie. he actually does the most in fighting the monsters. Dracula decides he's gonna stick it to our heroes where it hurts, by blowing up their clubhouse.
Meeting adjourned.
It's so beautiful.
Del makes it in time to confront him, but Dracula still has some dynamite left over.
Hurry it up!
Well, look on the bright side. At least you didn't die first. Dracula leaves, and Mom, who looks like she was preparing to leave her husband, is now in disbelief over what's happened. Del finds a radio and makes contact with Sean, signaling him to where they are. The church just down the street from a Burger King. They can't get in, and the vampire ladies are coming, so they have to do the incantation outside. Rudy decides to be a badass once more.
Where you going, Rudy?
I'm in the goddamn club, aren't I? Here, Skaggs. Come and get it.
Again, best character in the movie. Del shows up and shoots Bat Dracula before he can get to the kids, and then goes into the building he crashed into. He almost blows him up with dynamite, but the Wolfman stops him. He gets roughed up until Sean shows up to save the day. Well, surely he can't come back from that, right?
The book says he's still not dead. It has to be a silver bullet.
That's a bunch of crap.
The police show up and try to fight him off, right as Lisa finishes reading the incantation, only for the squad to learn that she isn't actually a virgin.
Well, Steve, but he doesn't count. Doesn't count.
Everyone's incompetent. Well, except Rudy, because he once again proves to be useful by taking a cop's gun, loading a silver bullet in it, and then... bang. 10 years early, but damn, Spike Spiegel would be proud.
Bang. Thank you.
Rest in peace, desperate man. You've earned it. The Gill Man suddenly appears from out of the sewer and murders another cop. Horace grabs a shotgun, but is too scared to use it. But since the bullies from earlier are scared and won't let him into their hiding place, Horace just goes and shoots Gill Man dead.
Hey, fat kid. Good job.
My name is Horace.
Okay. You're pretty badass too. Not just Rudy who gets to be cool. Anyway, all that's left is Dracula. Earlier, the squad realized that Phoebe would count as being a virgin, and Scary German Guy helps her read the diary, since she's 5 and doesn't know how to read. Dracula ain't taking shit at this point and just walks by, punching cops, breaking their arms, and just straight up kills them. He subdues Scary German Guy before grabbing Phoebe.
Give me the amulet, you bitch.
Damn, Drac, you colder than Sean. But then Frankie returns and delivers his best line yet.
Bogus.
Gnarly kill. Phoebe finishes the incantation, which summons the limbo hole. Dracula attempts to take Sean with him, but Sean stabs him with a stake before... Okay, I guess Van Helsing really was sucked into limbo at one point, but was able to come back briefly. Phoebe tries to keep Frankie with her, but he knows he can't stay. Aw, that's so sad. I mean it, Frankie was pretty cool to these kids and was very close with Phoebe, who helped humanize him when he was considered a monster. It's sad to see him go, but at least he won't truly be alone. For now though, the army arrives, as they surprisingly got the message Eugene sent earlier.
Who are you?
We're the Monster Squad.
And of course, the movie ends with another Michael Sembello song, the Monster Squad Rap. It's pretty jamming. Well, I can definitely see why this movie is such a cult hit. Despite my grievances with many dated cultural aspects regarding the characterization of the kids and all, I can see people relating to these kids for having a fascination for movie monsters and even becoming the heroes who fight them. While I'm not the biggest fan of Sean, he at least was the biggest example of a kid with a love for old monster movies, and like other characters, would influence those fans into enjoying this genre. They play many of the classic monster movie tropes, like Wolfman's human side being afraid of himself killing, Frankenstein's monster being misunderstood, and Dracula being cold and calculative. Sure, he tends to get a little hammy occasionally, but he did feel like a major threat, and even has a bit of a body count. It's even reflected in the cinematography, as many of the scenes relating to the monsters have excellent sets, great lighting and effects, and the music by Bruce Broughton sets the mood perfectly. Even with some of the goofier aspects involving the kids, nothing ever feels off balance in my opinion. I mean, there might have been a pacing issue, considering they fast-tracked some stuff with the diary and our villains learning who found it, but besides that, it felt pretty organic overall. This really felt like a gateway into the world of old movie monsters, though unfortunately, as I stated at the beginning, it didn't do so well given that it bombed at the box office and received middling reviews from critics. It didn't help that it had a PG-13 rating, so it couldn't reach its target audience. Thankfully though, like many Halloween cult hits, the movie would receive new life when it was released to home video in 1988, where it finally found its audience. Then in 2006, Eric Vespe, writer of Ain't It Cool News, organized 2 screenings of the movie at the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema in Austin, Texas, which Fred Dekker and even some of the stars of the movie attended. This event would mark a turning point in the movie's resurgence, leading to a 20th anniversary DVD release in 2007. Unfortunately, Brent Callum, who played Horace in the movie, would never see again another shot at popularity as he sadly passed away in 1997 from pneumonia at the age of 22. A shame, really. I bet he would have been really proud. In 2018, a documentary directed by Sean's actor, Andre Gomer, was made with the aptly named title, Wolfman's Got Nards. It featured a lot of commentary from various actors and fans, many who were inspired by this movie for their own projects. It was even included in a 4K Ultra HD release of the movie in 2023. In conclusion, despite any faults or problems I may have with it, The Monster Squad is certainly a fun and interesting product of its time. When the humor hits just right, it's hilarious. When the frights hit just right, they can be really effective. Together, they bring a silly and spooky good time that will have you quoting it for years to come. I'm the Media Hunter. Media is my prey, and reviewing them my way.
Mummy and the creature from the Black Lagoon. We need silver bullets, we need wooden stakes. Normal stuff won't stop because they live on hate. Speak some magic words from a virgin's lips. Maybe that'll shake him, make him slip and trip. There's no turning back, gotta fight the fight. Yeah, the monster.
Check it out. Frankenstein's got sunglasses. Yeah, they're trying to make him hip for the kids. Frankenstein's cool.